Welcome to a special session talking about technical electives for the upcoming school year, academic year, 2019 fall through spring of 2020. We're already in that time window. And I'll also talk a little bit at the end about the AMP, or the Accelerated Master's Program, what that provides to you as an option to quickly transition into graduate school. But when you're thinking about technical electives, I'm not sure if you've laid out our courses on a horizontal axis. If you have, maybe you saw a few things relative to how courses stack up. And if you have, then you'll start to see how ideally we wanted to organize the curriculum or the courses relative to the decade that they are offered in. Meaning the 20s, you've taken 220, maybe 320. That's now in the circuits part, or in the signals and systems part of our coursework, which actually spans the 20s, 30s, and 40s. In those 3 decades, you'll see what I'll call signal processing classes, communications classes, and controls classes. Those are in the 30s, 40s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, generically. Now, we've run out of numbers, and for that reason, sometimes you'll find, wait a minute, this is a class that's more computer engineering, and I thought it was supposed to be in the 60s and 70s, and it's not. Well, that's because we've run out of numbers with the number of classes, but that's how it's set up. And if you see a particular course number, then maybe you can say, oh, that must be related to electronics, or that might be in electromagnetics or optics if it's in the 80s. That's how it's tried to be organized initially. And what this might suggest to you is you actually, as a junior, you've probably seen most of these classes, and that means you're covering the entire horizontal line. You might want to continue to do that in your technical electives. You may not want to focus on one particular decade or one particular subject matter, since you may not retire until 2060, maybe, or later. Wow. So if you do work that long, it may be nice to have a fairly broad background, and you might want to be taking your technical electives now in a wide class of subject matter. That being said, what we're planning right now to offer will be the following in terms of the fall. And what I would suggest is you don't get too locked in to an instructor, because we're still in the state of flux relative to who's teaching what in the fall and the spring semester. But in the computer coursework, we have the following classes, and you'll see in parentheses after 369A and 373, electrical engineering. Electrical engineering option students can take those as technical elective credit. Obviously, if you're in the computer engineering option, you've already taken those or will take those as part of your required coursework. But if you liked classes that were in the 60s and 70s relative to programming, object-oriented programming, maybe the computer architecture class, these classes in this group that I'm calling the computer engineering or computer courses might be to your liking as a selection for technical electives. I'm really focusing maybe on the dual numbered courses, and if you're interested in pursuing the AMP, the Accelerated Master's Program, you would be taking some of these maybe at the 500 level, so that you could now count those towards both your undergraduate and your graduate degree program. But for example, if you wanted to learn a little bit about neural networks or computational issues, and even how do you model a biological system, you might look into 411, 511. And if you want to know a little bit more about those, is everybody familiar with our courses? Where did I put those? Which tab? So if you go on our website in the undergraduate program, now I just lost it, but under courses, now all of our courses have a brief syllabus that's linkable from these particular numbers, these numerical values. And if you wanted to find a little bit more, for example, about 411 than what I just provided, you could then open up that class and see the course syllabus, which might tell you a little bit about the textbook. If there's texts involved, you could say, oh, these are the titles of the books. Now what kind of information is contained in that? You can find maybe more information on the course description, the learning outcomes, and the topics. Here you can see that you're going to be covering, you'll be using MATLAB, you'll be doing numerical differentiation, numerical integration. So how do you put these calculus ideas or concepts on a computer or into some software? How do you transform these differential equations and find solutions? Neural networks, and then some practical problems with electric lenses, geothermal power systems. If you're interested in sustainability or something green, oh, there's actually something in that class that might be connected to that topic. That's how you could start resourcing or trying to understand a little bit more about the classes versus just their title. You can go to our website, and if it's not dual numbered, which as an undergrad you can take 500 level classes, you just have to sign up for them in the right way. You could go to the graduate courses, which you just click on grad and then get courses, and some of our courses are graduate only. They're not dual numbered. They're not 400, 500. You might want to take those in your undergraduate. As long as it's below 600, you can do that. If you're in the AMP program, you probably do want to take some 500, and those AMP courses don't have to be dual numbered courses. They could be exclusively graduate level courses. In this list, if you liked 274, 574 is a continuation. That's like Digital Logic 2. And so you would then say, oh, there's computer-aided logic design. I liked 274. Now I want to see it at a more in-depth level. That would be a 574 or a 474. If you're interested in web development or Internet of Things, that's 413, 513. And that's a fairly popular class, so you may want to try to get into that one quick or sooner rather than later if you're interested in that class. And then if you want to know a little bit about how do all of these computers talk to each other or communicate, what security issues or concerns might we have, then 478, 578 would be a class that you would be interested in pursuing. In the electronics / bioengineering type courses in the fall, again, we have a manufacturing course for 515, and we also have this one you could even think is an optics class, so it could be classified in several different categories. I've included it here, but if you're wanting to try to see how do I understand optical materials or materials in general from an electrical and optical perspective, ECE 434 would be a good class to take. And that one, actually, if you look at the syllabus for that on our website, you'll see the course or the textbook. The textbook is actually authored by the instructor, Dr. Potter, and that's available through our U of A library. And you could pre-read the entire textbook. I think it's only 600 pages or something. So you could do that over the summer prior to the fall semester. But you get the idea. You can do some legwork before the semester begins if you want to. And here are, and this is why I said that 434 could be in a different classification or collection of courses. It could have been in this next one, which is 381A and then microwave engineering. How do you now analyze passive circuits in the microwave frequency range, or that band of frequencies? Relative to ECE 381A, if you're familiar with our curriculum, you probably already know that 373 is only offered in the fall, and 369, those are computer engineering option courses. Those are only offered once a year. We're probably going to transition 381A to that structure, and I'm thinking right now that the fall may be when it is going to be taught. If you're thinking of graduating next year, you might want to jump into this in the fall. We haven't yet decided whether it will be taught again in the spring. So if you're thinking of graduating December or May and interested in taking or required to take that for your core courses, you want to make sure and get into it before it's no longer offered. We did that sequencing or phasing into one semester only with 352 recently, and now it's a spring type class, I believe. So you guys can keep me honest if I am misspeaking. In the 20s, 30s, and 40s decades, we offer 3 classes over the fall semester, and those are in the 3 different categories of signals and systems. We have a signal processing class in the digital signal processing, 429, 529. We have optical communication systems, and we have an automatic control systems class, and those are all dual numbered classes. While you're thinking about these classes, what you may want to also do, since we're engineers, we're good at constraints. You may start, these notes I'll try to publish these on my website, which at one point I had that, I'm embarrassed to even display this, but this is a very up-to-date website. You can find it at www.ece.something. Oh, that's not even what I typed in. Anyway, you can hopefully find that by finding my website through the ECE page and clicking on this. Just don't go to office hours for the fall 2016 dates. But more recent material is under the links, and you can see that I do make these available to you as a video and notes, and also I've made available a PDF file of all of the course descriptions in ECE. So if you wanted to read those descriptions in one location rather quickly as far as what's in the U of A catalog, that's a place that you could find them. And that's just whatever our web address is this week, Tilde Tharp, my last name. Anyway, how did I get on that? Oh, so that you could find this particular grid. If you need this grid after this and you don't have time to copy it down now, which I'm not expecting you to do, this illustrates that you may actually need to, I'm not sure why this is locked up, but let me see if I can now. What you won't be able to do is take, for example, the following 3 classes that are offered at 11 a.m. to 12:15 on Tuesday and Thursday. You can't take digital signal processing and the microwave engineering class. So you will have to make some decisions, maybe, if you wanted to take both of those classes. But there are workarounds, maybe not to take those 2 exact classes, but I have no idea. Now you're really wondering what's going on, as am I. But if you're watching this at home, you didn't see anything happen, which is good, I'm guessing. But here, for example, if you wanted to take microwave engineering, 486 for passive systems, and you really wanted to take a signal processing class, a digital signal processing class, what you could do is wait for the spring and take a digital controls class. And part of that, now I'm looking at people that may have had both, there is some overlap between 429 and 442. It's a little different, but at least you'll see the Z transforms and those topics in 442 if you couldn't take them in 429 because you wanted to take 486, 586. Is that clear? You will have some decisions that you will make. It's not just, wow, okay, here are the classes I want, boom, I'm finished. No, you need to kind of check when they're offered, and if there's any overlap between the ones that you want, then that's going to call for a decision on your part. What I hope you can see, although it's not, ideally we would have one class in each box. And that's not the case. For some reason, Tuesday, Thursday, midday is popular with the faculty. I don't know whether it's popular or not with the students, probably. But there are some classes that are offered later in the day to try to, and the university actually restricts us. As a department, we are not supposed to be offering all of our classes in that 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. time window. So if you're upset that the class is not when you really wanted it, it's not, you can't blame it all on us. We're actually getting in trouble trying to load up in these peak time windows over the course of the week. Any questions on fall or your strategy? Yes. Am I not teaching 441 next semester? Right now, I'm not scheduled to teach it. I'm scheduled, I got demoted. I'm now teaching 220 in the fall. And maybe some other things. But no, we have a rotation. There's certain faculty that teach certain 400, 500 level classes, and it's not my rotation. I'm in the bullpen on that one. So I won't be teaching 441A, 541 in the fall as of now. Is it true that I'm teaching 340? I'm not sure where you got that information. But no, I'm not scheduled to teach 340. But the person that's listed today teaching 340 probably won't teach that class in the fall. It may be someone else. So that's what I said in terms of what are you, don't base your decision on today's listing of faculty teaching what. It may change over the course of the summer. And that all depends on faculty's research, whether they're even here on campus, and that's why I'm teaching 220 as Dr. Marcelin. We're letting him escape for a year, or for a semester. So if somebody's watching this looking for advice on 220, which I don't think they would be if this is technical electives, they'll now hear that Dr. Marcelin, and now they've broken their computer, they've thrown everything, they're frustrated that he won't be teaching 220. And I apologize, but we have to accommodate faculty.
Is he also not doing online?
There's a class that Dr. Marcelin teaches that is an online class, ECE 503, and I believe he's going to teach that online in the fall, even though he may physically not be in Tucson. So, like I said, don't plan on the faculty member, but some of these questions I sort of know what we're planning, but that may change between now and August. But that's the plan right now. He's willing to teach the online section of EC 503, but he won't be teaching the on-campus section of that class. Other questions, and I hope I've repeated the question. The question there was, will Dr. Marcelin teach the online section of 503, which is the probability and random processes class? Relative to spring, this is tentative, as is really the fall. All of these may change there's a lot of time between now and August. But here are the collection of courses. And don't get too hung up on the numerical order. For example, in this set with the computer classes, I would maybe classify 479, 579, the AI class, as like AI 1, and the 466, 566, the knowledge system engineering, as AI 2. But even that being said, you don't have to take 479 prior to 466, 566. You could actually take both of those classes. There may be some overlap, but hopefully there's enough non-overlap to make those two courses beneficial to you to take them both. Pardon? So Dr. Marifat would be teaching the 466, 566, and again, they don't know this, so shh. And Dr. Rosenblit will be, in my head, teaching 479, 579. They haven't received their teaching commitments for next academic year yet. That's something I have to get finished. Yeah. So that hasn't been done yet, but I'm thinking that Dr. Rosenblit will teach 479, 579, and those could all change. My plans may get changed. 462, 562, if you really liked 369, computer architecture, this is like computer architecture 2. And you can see that it's not 469, it's 462. So we have to be flexible with our numbering. And if you want now ECE 330B, depending on which catalog you are in, that's now a technical elective. It used to be a required course in our curriculum. Now it's an elective course depending on your catalog or your year that you came into the program, and that's computational techniques. Again, that's sort of how do I do these calculus problems numerically or with a computer? How do I integrate? How do I differentiate? How do I solve these equations? And some of it is optimization. So if you want to know, oh, how do I solve optimization problems, 330B might be a good class to take. We don't really offer an optimization class in this department. I guess the projector has been on too long today and it's tired, as are we all, but we don't get to take naps. In the bioelectronics, 352 is required of the electrical engineering students. If you're in the computer engineering option, you can take that as a technical elective. And again, that class is no longer offered every semester. It's only in the spring. If you want to take it, plan on taking it in the spring. 407, 507, that's carry on from sort of like this 274, 474, and 351C. It's how do we make these digital operations work in silicon? How do we make this CMOS device, or how do we do digital VLSI system design? And again, if you want to know more than what I just said, click on the syllabus and read up a little bit more on that class. If you want to know how do I actually make these electrical circuits measure something on my body, now we're doing all these wearables, so this is a big thing now, but we were doing this before wearables were even discussed. But that's what this class you could think of, is how do I instrument myself, or how do I get physiological signals in an electrical way. How do I get these into a computer? How do I measure this? How do I understand how high my stress level is? So if you, well, never mind. I've already hit the ceiling several times today just by somebody saying hello. So apparently I have some things to accomplish. Where were we? Oh, that was 417, 517. That one's fairly popular too because it may actually be required of biomedical engineering students, and it's a challenge sometimes for our own students to get into that class, but it's taught out of this building, or at least the lab is, and it's useful information, I think, for an electrical and computer engineering student to have. I don't know yet if 381A, that's sort of a legacy on here. I'm thinking we might offer it one more time in the spring, but don't plan on it from next academic year after 2020 being every semester. That's 381A, which if you're in the computer engineering track you can take. If you're interested in energy, solar, that's the 414, 514A class, which is happening right now. In the spring, it happens at 4 o'clock, 4 to 4:50. If you want to, again, learn a little bit about electronics and optics, then you have another class in the spring, which is 456, 556. And if you want to know what's going on inside your phone, how do we maybe implement 5G, what's the future hold for antenna design, how do we start steering these beams, you might learn a little bit about that in 484, 584 in antenna design. And in the signals and systems bucket, we have a digital communication systems. So if you love 340A, since I'm not teaching it, the probability is high that you would like that class. So if you like 340A, then 435A, 535A is the follow-on, digital communications. Or if the jury's still out on 340A, maybe this will turn it all around and make it even better for you, digital communications. And if you want something else digital, then there's 442, 542, which I think we still have tonight. So that's usually later in the day. And that's to accommodate some of these classes that actually end at 5:15 or have ended at 5:15 in our own program on Monday and Wednesday. That's why that one starts at 5:30, which I hope is what I have here. So this is what is indicated for, no wonder I'm having issues. I haven't yet put this together for 2020. So this is what we have now this semester in 2019. Here's the overlap structure that you might want to think about or keep in mind as you're planning the courses that you want to take. Questions on technical electives? Maybe you're all here for the AMP, the Accelerated Master's Program, and this is a pretty good deal if you can swing it. Meaning this allows you to actually count 4 classes towards both your BS degree and your MS degree if you get into the Accelerated Master's Program. The idea is that after 1 year beyond your bachelor's, if you go full-time, you should be able to fairly smoothly graduate with your master's in 1 year if you've taken up to the 4 500 level classes that you're allowed during your undergraduate days. Now there's some constraints on this. There's some admission requirements. You need to be a junior or a senior, and here the the key thing is, when do you have 90 units? That's when you can start taking these 500. You can actually apply when you have 75 units on your transcript. So you can apply to the program once you get 75 units, and you have to have an undergraduate GPA of, here that's under the admission requirement of 3.3. That's your cumulative undergraduate GPA. It's not a major specific GPA. If you're above a 3.3, then you can get in. You obviously need to graduate with, I'm not sure, I think you have to graduate with your BS at a 3.3, or, oh, well, they don't take those classes away. They count towards your BS degree, but you can't count them towards your MS degree. I think there's some restrictions on that. So if you have questions, ask our graduate advisor, Tammy Whalen. She knows this program inside and out, but essentially you want to maintain that 3.3 or better GPA once you get into the Accelerated Master's program and when you finish the BS. Now, I don't want to say this necessarily, but I will. Once you get in and you're in your master's, I think you simply have to maintain above a 3.0 in order to graduate. But in order for those 4 courses, up to 4 courses, you don't have to take 4 courses. You could take 2 while you're an undergrad at the 500 level and count them towards your BS and MS, but then you would subtract those 2 from the 10 courses that are required, standard 3-unit courses in the MS program. And that's a non-thesis degree program. It's 10 courses is the master's degree generically. If you are in the AMP and you take 4 classes at the graduate level in your undergraduate time frame, then you only are responsible for 6 courses, 3 a semester, in that next year beyond your BS. And if you really wanted to, you could probably get a job somewhere even overseas, take our online courses. You wouldn't have to finish in a year. You still are in our MS program, and now you're gainfully employed. You're taking 1 course a year. I'm sorry, maybe 1 course a semester, and it will now be an MS in a few years. You just have to complete 6 of those classes after you've successfully completed your BS with the 4. And there's some benefit to this. They waive the GRE requirement for the admission into the master's. That may actually be a generic waive whether you're in the AMP or not, but that's something you don't have to worry about taking the GRE if you want to get into our graduate program. Yes?
Are those 90 units that the student must have finished at the U of A or also transferred from a different college?
So the question is, do these 90 plus units, are those specific to the U of A or not? And I think those are the 90 units that are going to be counted towards your U of A degree. So if you transferred in as a junior and you had 60 units coming in from a community college or some other institution, those 60 would count in that 90. It's really how many units do you have accumulated? Are you now a senior? 90 or above is now you have the senior designation. Once you reach senior status, then you can start taking these 500 level courses in the AMP program. So they don't all have to be from the U of A, those courses that make up the 90 plus units. Did that answer your question? Any other questions on the AMP or technical electives? Yes?
Since I'm in 442 and then the 542 session on wanting to have that count towards the AMP.
Unfortunately, if you've now taken a 400 level class, you can't go back and say, oh, I actually want to count this as a 500. No, you won't be able to do that because there are different requirements for the 500 level class than the 400, and the university frowns on sort of, oh, I was really successful. Can you give me credit for that? So you kind of have to make the decision up front. In that case, you're maybe taking classes ahead of the curve, which is fine. It's just you won't count that one towards your MS. You could now find some other 500 level classes, but you do have to take these classes at the 500 level in order to have them count towards both your BS and MS.
So there's an option to use 500 classes to satisfy an honors degree as well. Does that work with the AMP as well, so it's like a triple dip?
So the question was, if I'm an honors student and I take a 500 level class, that counts as honors. That's honors at the undergraduate level. We don't have an honors at the graduate level, so in a sense, yes, you are sort of triple dipping. You get to count that 500 level credit towards your honors credit at the undergrad. You get to count it towards your BS degree, and you get to count it towards your MS degree. So yes, you can be very effective with your course selection if you do it. And I hope it's clear, in the AMP, you're not limited to dual numbered courses. You can take the exclusive graduate level classes like 501B, 503, a lot of the computer engineering, 576A, for example, is taught in the spring. Other questions? Yes.
What's like the honors 456 off electronics class? You double the frequency, so it used to be like once every 2 years.
So the question was, and that's why I said these are tentative, the question was dealing with, is 466, 566 actually going to be offered in the spring? 456, 556, sorry, 466, 566 is AI2, and I'm not sure what I said. Like I said, anyway, 456, 556 may or may not happen, but I think now, because we're teaching 352 once a year and not twice, that might be why we're going to have 456 available more frequently than it was in the past. In the past, it did skip a year, and so it may have only been offered in the even-numbered years or the odd-numbered years. And this morning when I was putting this together, I'm not sure that I had everyone in the room, all the pieces, and which spaces can you occupy. So yes, that may change, but because it's being offered this semester, that class, 456, 556. Other questions? Yes.
Tech electives go, you're allowed a few non-ECE tech electives. Is there a list of courses that will count towards that requirement? Somewhere on
The question is there a list of non-ECE technical electives? Really, there probably is, but it's pretty much any engineering, 300 or 400, or 300 and above, I should say. Physics, math. Just make sure that you check with your advisor to make sure that that one, because a math for, let's say, an education major, nothing against that, but we probably wouldn't count that towards. So if it's like elementary school mathematics, we probably wouldn't allow that towards an ECE degree, even though it's a 300 or 400 level course. Is that clear? But if it sounds like it's pretty much what you would expect, a senior level course topic in math and physics or optics, astronomy, will count it as a non-ECE technical elective. Yes?
Also go into that, I know someone that was an ISTA major, which I know their tech electives would be a little different, but they did have a full compiled list of all of their related tech electives that would work for them. The list probably a little bit different for us, but it was quite large.
Yes, so So are you saying there is a list available? So on U-Access you can find it. And it's probably in your, what's it called, Academic Advisement Report. If you now look at that list of technical elective courses, you're going to see all the possible 400 level classes that are available to you as technical electives. We've tried to make that, populate that so that they pull in automatically, and it simplifies our advisors' workload. One or two more questions, and then I think there's another meeting that we have to, and I'm surprised we're going this long. Anyway, go ahead.
Just asking, is it true that EC 373 there's an equivalent class in CS department?
So there is a object-oriented programming class in computer science, but it may require that you take computer science prerequisite courses. I don't know. And the nice thing about that one is that I think it's offered every semester versus 373 is offered in the fall. But I think it's very challenging to get into that. You may have to be a computer science minor or a computer science double major to have access to that class. And I don't want to even say the number, but it's 335 or something like that, I think. It's an object-oriented programming class. Is that enough for information? I hope this was helpful. I will shut us down and get ready for the next presenter.